ESA Trading Limited, we're changing that just for you. We're proud to offer sustainable solutions that help you make a real impact, one small step at a time. Say goodbye to styrofoam and hello to our compostable clamshells, trays, and baggers products, the perfect eco-friendly upgrade for your takeout packaging. Because great food deserves a great container, and ours are sturdy, stylish, and earth-friendly. We've got it all. Clamshell bowls and lids, cake plates, cups, round containers, forks, spoons, even free compartment meal boxes, all made from renewable materials like wheat straw, sugarcane baggers, and PLA. Our compostable containers break down in commercial composting facilities, helping reduce waste while keeping your food fresh and your conscience clear. Join the movement. Make the switch. Visit us today at Kennedy Avenue and the Bayfront for all your biodegradable packaging needs. At ESA Trading Limited, we're making a difference for you and the planet.
And for now, avoid calling my cell phone. I know. Okay? I'll respond to you maybe an hour after. We're focusing on this discussion we're having at this time. A marijuana symposium coming up. We're talking the marijuana symposium coming up, 2-day symposium. And we have a full esteemed panel this afternoon. I'm going to allow the government representative to speak at this time to introduce our guests. And I'm being told that Mr. Daru, former government minister, might join us about 1:30 this afternoon. So let's sit and wait and find out just what is going on. But let me allow the government representative on this panel to say good afternoon and introduce our guests.
Good afternoon. I'm Adisa Trotter.
Adisa Trotter. You look like the Trotter, so true.
Yeah.
Long face there.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, and Blue and Green Economy. And I'm in the house of Dr. Gaddafi, Dr. Marshall Emmanuel, and Mr. Bobby Olivache, and we're here to look at the Cannabis Symposium that's scheduled to take place on Wednesday and Thursday this week.
All right. So what do we expect at the symposium?
Well, we expect a lot of good things out of that. Mainly looking at discussions, recommendations for the Dominica cannabis industry. What are the considerations that we have to look at in terms of comparing it with other international and regional bodies? For example, the infrastructure that's necessary, such as the licensing authorities that have to be in place to regulate the industry. We're looking at getting feedback from some of our OECS colleagues and counterparts in different ministries, and we're looking at getting some feedback from the Eastern Caribbean Central Union. A representative from the bank will address some of the technical issues we face here in the region. And we're looking at getting that kind of feedback that is necessary to build the economy, the cannabis economy.
And you think it's very important. Let me put that question to you, of course. So we have a professor there from UE, I think, Mr. Knife, Dr. Knife. That's you. Just send that microphone there. Why do you think it's so important to, if you will, discuss the marijuana industry at this point?
I'm actually here looking at this document developed by Dominica to be a climate change resilient country, the 2020-2030 plan. Now, when you examine the goals, the target of 2030, goal number 10 speaks to a sustainable and inclusive growth of minimum 5% achieved. So speaking about inclusivity, which means you're speaking about ensuring that when you do the business, the money stays in your country and impacts the people directly.
Okay.
Yes. Now, going on by 18, which I really love, is that you want 60% of agricultural land cultivated organically, supporting environmental protection and the sustainable development agenda. Next crucial component. Why is that so? Because in Caribbean territories, including Dominica, you generally find that the highest incidence of poverty tend to be around agriculture areas, which have the most land, but also the potential to generate the most wealth. Now, when you anchor
When you say most potential for the most
to generate the most wealth.
Yes, I like that. I like that note.
Yeah, because, so when you anchor your climate resilience strategy and include the idea of inclusivity and using agriculture as a critical driver, now you're really onto something there in terms of a robust strategy. The ganja industry in particular being the plan that per capita, agriculture plan that per capita have the highest market value, uses relatively the same amount of time of planting something like cabbage. It have youths who are interested in adopting the technology, but also grow up in a space and time where environmental stewardship is also crucial. I think Dominica, given its own reputation as I would say the most idle island in the Caribbean, which means that have the lowest negative environmental footprint in all areas, including agriculture, is best positioned to lead this thing through the region. You know, so it is really a big opportunity I find for Dominica to lead and drive the process in terms of not just planting ganja as an industry, but doing it in a way that is more sustainable and environmentally friendly, because they already have that kind of brand.
Okay, let's hear from Mr. Emmanuel.
Greetings, everyone. Yes, so Dr. Marshall Emmanuel here, and I was appointed the technical advisor consultant for like Dominica, and you know, Dominica being my home where I grew up, you know, is very important based on my international credibility and my regional footprint in assisting various governments in building out their regulatory framework. And if we look globally to see what has taken place throughout the world where the Act of Cannabis relax legislation seems to be a fundamental right in terms of human rights, and we see where that progressive move in relaxing cannabis legislation cannot necessarily be reversed, but is the advancement of policy in terms of you know, development. So Dominica, I think, is uniquely poised based on the opportunity which is, you know, presented here. It is not the first and is not the last in the region based on enacting cannabis policy. So the role in terms of setting up an industry is critical to understand the linkages that make an industry functional based on the forward linkages, the backward linkages, and the cross linkages that will, you know, provide the necessary support. So I see the role in terms of the government implementing cannabis policy to facilitate the responsible use of cannabis more than just for medicinal purposes. So we have scientific purposes, and in the region, we also see where governments are looking to impact social justice and social equity in the form of cannabis reform. So looking at the responsible use, where how we know where cannabis is possibly coming from and where we would need to go based on advancing the technical capacity and the infrastructure to provide public health and safety and environmental stewardship in administering cannabis to the wider public.
Let me ask Mr. Olivache. Of course, Bobby is one of the top herbalists in the country. Why now? Why now?
Why not now?
Why? Go ahead. You said why not now? Okay.
Right. I think big up to all the people listening right now. Even on a Dominica level, other than cannabis, we really need to diversify our economy. And then other than that, herbs are an integral part of our culture. And even as a Rasta man, and I see a lot of Rasta around the table here, which we applaud.
All Rastafari.
All Rastafari, including you. We can't call you no bald. Okay, so we are the ones who've pioneered this move. We've been the ones who've been persecuted and prosecuted for the most widely used herb on the planet. And as herbalists, as indigenous people, we seek to forward the concept of fair trade, because I happen to be a member of the Cannabis Fair Trade Association, executive member of the Caribbean Rastafari Organization. Who've done a tremendous amount of work in the Caribbean between Puerto Rico and Guyana. And anywhere we speak about cannabis, the Rasta man should be there. The Rasta woman should be there. So cannabis is to Rastafari as butter is to a cat. And as a result of that, we are happy that we are around the table to share information and also to make certain suggestions. In fact, I've just come from St. Thomas, and in St. Thomas, the governor of St. Thomas have openly apologized to Rastafari for the ill treatment that has been happening over the years. And I've even decided to let this July 23rd be officially known as Rastafari Day. So if there is an apology forwarded onto Rastafari, we have to consider the concept of reparations after you apologize. So reparations can come in many ways. We need to consider those people who've been prosecuted in the past. We need to consider what kind of land we can get to produce cannabis sacramentally and also commercially. We're interested in all aspects of the cannabis industry. We are for it. We think this reasoning is long overdue, and we are actually looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it. That's a very important question. I want to follow up. Okay. We all talk about the cannabis industry. Now, out there are many critics who say marijuana, cannabis. How would you want to introduce that to the young people? Or what's your defense?
You're talking to me.
I'm talking to you. I'm talking to everybody around the table. Everybody around the table.
We will all go. But you see, Matt, this whole concept of regulating the cannabis industry is not about exposing youths and vulnerable groups to cannabis. A medicinal cannabis industry is really targeting the healthcare of the nation. So we're looking at prevention.
So there are more benefits than
the so-called negative perceptions and stigma associated with it. Yes, we are aware there are negative benefits. There are negative effects of the plant, but the positives and the benefits outweighs the negative. But the intention there now is the social safety nets that we have to put in place to address the abuse, the overuse of the plant or to the vulnerable groups such as the youths.
And that will be addressed at that symposium.
Intention to address it.
All right, let me say something quite clearly, and that's why even Marshall spoke about the responsible use of the plant. It is crucial. And it starts from the plant itself. And people must be very honest with themselves.
Right.
When the United States tell you that cannabis in their country is a drug, they understand what a drug is because they know what they have done to the plant in terms of the science of the plant, in terms of altering the plants, in terms of the THC, CDB components. And so those things, when you alter those things, can create an imbalance with people who uses that plant. So that's why it is important, I'm using a general term, to feed, clothe, and shelter yourself. Anybody who feeds you, whether it's cannabis, whether it is animal products, whether it's any form of agricultural products, have the potential to create dis-ease amongst your people. You must know what you're planting. Now, if you plant the proper plant, which is not the drug that they plant in the United States, some of those concerns about children will not be there. It's just because people don't understand the science. That is why the education and payment component has to be run concurrently with it. There's an additional thing though.
So you're saying the education that was given before was wrong, totally wrong.
Of course it's wrong.
Misinformation?
It's not just misinformation. Some of those are just lies, man. People must be very in an age of information now, you know. People can go out and check the information. And if you have time, we can go into some of the deeper studies that have done. But importantly though, there's something that happened when you start to criminalize the ganja plant. Because what they did was to criminalize plants in general. So when people speak about herbs, you start thinking about ganja, you start to think about rosemary, you start thinking about all these other plants that we claim are no bad. But currently, do you know that the nutraceutical and functional food industry, which is just taking actives out of plants like cannabis and other herb plants, in 2016 was valued at $248 billion. Billion. Currently, it is projected to be 389 billion. And by 2030, it should be $800 billion. And that is just taking actives out of plants like the ganja plant. Why am I saying this? Because when you start to focus on the ganja plant, you start to focus also on other herbs in terms of that bigger medicinal function of herb itself.
But let me get a better explanation there, a better understanding. The word marijuana and the word cannabis, two different words?
Let me say this. I'm making a distinction as Rastafari,
right?
Because I know the importance of words. So note, people use words generally. I am saying to you, when they speak, they know exactly what they do to their plants. We must make a distinction because they're going to a market space. What are we planting? The same plants that are being planted in the United States or other places, the same approaches, are we using a different and cleaner kind of approach? We have to talk about the responsible use of. So the processes are going to be important. The seeds are going to be important. The planting approach is going to be important. So you must make a distinction. That's why I started by saying that Dominica has an advantage of being a very clean island that do not use a lot of synthetic pesticides, fertilizers, and inputs in plant production, which is a major concern that we have. And my own thinking, based on what I have seen, is that some of these processes create problems with plants, regardless of which plant you are dealing with. Whether it's marijuana, whether it is cabbage, whether it is pumpkin, all of those are major concerns that we must have for our people. The nutrient density of the plants, the use of hazardous pesticides and chemicals on the plant is an entire tap upon things I think that people consume, which has led to these serious illnesses that we face in the Caribbean.
The complications. All right, let me hear Mr. Imam.
Yes, so if I may just add from a more practical and scientific point of view and looking at the cannabis plant as a genus, right? So if you understand cannabis and you understand the active ingredients that the plant possesses, known as the cannabinoids, the terpenoids, the flavonoids, the steroids, and we could list a wide range of various compounds produce. So we know as human beings, we have what is called an endocannabinoid system. So all higher beings, even fish, even reptiles, amphibians, mammals, all possess this endocannabinoid system. So your human body naturally produces cannabinoids. That feeling, which is known as the runner's high after you exercise, that euphoric feeling, that is your endocannabinoids being produced when a young baby suckles their mother's breast, and that lethargic feeling, that appetite stimulation, those are the endocannabinoids really possessing there. So we know that the therapeutic and scientific and medicinal value of cannabis outweighs the sort of negative perception which is possessed globally. So what we know is by enacting an authority to regulate and be responsible for administering cannabis to the public, there must be some checks and balances put in place will reduce the negative harms on the population, which has been perpetuated through time. And let me just draw a reference to that. So in Jamaica decriminalized cannabis in 2015, right? We did a survey throughout the entire country where we looked at the potency associated with cannabis locally, and there was one outlier which was 13% THC, and THC, which is known as delta tetrahydrogen cannabinoid, which is the psychoactive compound in the plant. And the average was about 7%, 8% THC. Today, the connotations that are being marketed based on components of the plant has posed many sort of negative values within other population. For example, these cannabis plants prior to decriminalization had levels of CBD, CBN, CBG, THC. So there was a more even balance of the therapeutic compounds possessed within the plant. But nowadays, the modernization of cannabis with associated with drug consumption, we have seen where THC now is being marketed at 28%, 30% THC, and we see where they have bred down the other components of the plant to heighten that euphoric experience. So what is the role of your endocannabinoid system? Your endocannabinoid system is there to regulate homeostasis, meaning that to ensure that your involuntary mechanisms such as sleep, such as pleasure, such as pain, such as appetite are all in sync. Today, we have people working extra hours, being stressed out, going through many aspects of what we call societal norms. So here you have a plant that can regulate these involuntary mechanisms by consuming cannabis based on its phytochemical profile, and this has shown to enhance human well-being in very significant ways, such as allowing you to sleep better, laugh better. So it is said, if you can't buy happiness, you could buy cannabis that could make you happy and provide you with that therapeutic alleviation.
So, Dr. Emmanuel, have we been misinformed all these years?
Well, I wouldn't say it's misinformed. We have seen where other jurisdiction, because of the impact cannabis has had on various cultures, there was a concerted plan to decriminalize cannabis plant, like for India being the last country globally to decriminalize herb in 1987. So India has an endemic culture which we sort of adopt when the indentured laborers came to the Caribbean with the healing powers from the sadhus, and we have seen where cannabis was a mainstay in the pharmacopoeia many years ago, previous to the 1961 Narcotics Convention. So it's prior to the 1961 convention where the colonial powers saw the need to deem cannabis as something which is illegal and criminal.
Interesting. But then, any comments from your friend?
Okay, so I'm going to be dealing with the traditional uses of cannabis during the symposium. And so what we have to realize too is in relating to cannabis, we're not just talking about smoking weed.
Okay.
Many other ways cannabis can be used. For example, we can soak cannabis in green alcohol and extract the properties from it, and it will relax you if necessary for conditions like Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease. We can fuse cannabis with eucalyptus to treat asthma. We can fuse cannabis with ginkgo biloba for tremors and other neurological conditions. So we can mix cannabis with other herbs that are not water herbs but oil herbs, because cannabis have natural oils in there that fuse well with, say, things like coconut oil, things like olive oil, grapeseed oil, avocado oil. Even in terms of the production of salve, traditional healers have used cannabis for removing pain. So we want to mix cannabis with anica. And turmeric. You see, so many products can be made with cannabis, So we have to, in looking at the cannabis industry, we have to look at the added value aspect of the use of cannabis, and it's really unlimited.
Is it a short term goal or long term goal? What is it that we're looking forward to doing with the cannabis industry as we speak, sir?
Well, we definitely looking at in terms of the long run. So we definitely trying to put programs and activities in place to build the industry in a responsible way. So following the symposium, as the Honorable Prime Minister said, at the end of the year, we hoping to put the legislation in place. And then following the legislation is to put this licensing authority to grant license to different operators within the industry.
Okay, let's take a few phone calls. This is a very interactive program. Expect some calls. Are you there, caller?
Mr. Pelter, blessings to you, King.
Blessings, sir.
Are you good dreadlocks now?
What's that?
Rastafari people, blessings to you, all my Lord.
Blessings, King.
Blessings. As a Rastaman, Matt, please allow me. I'm going to be brief, quite considerate. I'm a, reasonable man. There are two questions I want to ask pertaining to the whole symposium and all of that, but something quickly. How can we, Matthew, once we had a type of bananas, and then all of a sudden, the powers that be in the world, quite criminally minded, colonially minded, everything is about conquest, domination, and everything. They come with a new species of bananas. So with the recommendations, making things mandatory because they're large and in charge. And then they will tell you, yes, for you to get into the industry, there's that specific species of marijuana and how the seed's going to be and what you're going to fertilize it with. And they come with all the requirements and then they make it mandatory. I listened to the brother there talking about from 7% to 20 and 30 something percent. No wonder the man can finish a joint. Maybe under an hour more, the man still have a joint in the hand because the high is bursting their brains. What I wanted to say, two things. I hope that could be taken away from government hands. I know in Dominica they have what they call it. There is an organization in Dominica. I forget its name. Oh, come on, I forget its name. Where government would have to be participating rather than government taking over everything and Rastafari participating or invited. We are the one who face all the persecutions. So will there be any incentives? The brother talk about reparations, where to get license to cultivate marijuana for Rastafari people, there should be a waiver. There should be a waiver. And I know about my government in Dominica is pure corruption because they're going to be quite prejudicial in who get license and who don't get license. And you're talking about US dollars. Tell me how much for...
Are you speaking on behalf of government? Because from what I gather, their objective is not going down that way. So are you saying that something that you speak about?
Matter no man, I deal with my intuition, my suspicions, my
But we have to talk about facts. Don't you agree with me, Blessings? Because you're making an accusation that I'm not sure is going forward. But again, intuition. So we're just having that discussion there.
Yeah, so I clear the air on that. I'm just saying, Matt, how can we and what can we do as a Rastafari people that have faced so much hell within the region? What can we do to have a stronger foothold in the whole argument rather than some like a corrupt politicians just taking over the thing and manipulating the whole process? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. You'll answer again. Let's take more phone calls, because the impression I'm getting from Blessings is it's something that will belong to the government, and the people in Dominica would not benefit. That's I suspect that's where you want to go. Hello, talk to me, yes?
Yeah, good afternoon, man.
Good afternoon to you, yes.
Good afternoon to Bobby and who else.
Yeah.
I'm a Rasta
Some
man.
professors, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to support Blessings right now. What about the ones that take so much prison for it? Like myself, take 5 years jail for that. Fine and confined. Right. What about we, the ones that suffer for it? What's going to happen for us The ones of now and the young ones and the ones of before that take all the jails and the young ones that come in. And the ones that are there to represent them. So what they going to do for us? How are they going to do it? That's what I want to know. If it's for the government to open their own personal affairs, how are they going to do it and get the poor man a chance? The man that suffer all the years for marijuana. How are they going to do it? That's what I want to know. How it's going to happen. If it's for one set, if it's for the politicians, and it's not for the Rasta man that suffer for it. So I want to know what is this camp going to be in it. I want them to come straight forward,
All right, caller. Well, they're here and they're representing the views, I'm sure, of not only Dominicans, but persons across the region. We have professors who will represent and share their views on that. Hello, should it be privatized? Should have public control? These are some of the questions I suspect may be coming forward at this time. Hello, talk to me, yes.
So on the topic of Rastafari, which I know is a very contentious one, right? Mm-hmm. Particularly the sort of history Dominica has had in terms of Rastafari and the Dread Act, right?
Yes.
But moving forward in, regional cannabis legislation, we have seen where Rastafari is now being, portrayed in a sort of positive light. So in, Jamaica, first in 2015, in the cannabis laws, Rastafari was granted sacramental rights. We also see in Barbados, where the first sacramental bill was brought to Parliament and actually gazetted. However, there was not really enough public consultation amongst the Rastafari community, so they are not totally sold on the sacramental bill. And recently we see in St. Lucia where a religious act is being drafted and is going to be brought to Parliament to address the religious use of cannabis. So what I personally have to say on this is that social justice and social equity is definitely in place for the Rastafari community. However, and even before saying that, we see where the Antigua model has been one of the most progressive models in terms of inclusivity of the Rastafari communities. I have done some recent work there where we have sort of carved out a particular legislative approach towards the Rastafari community and how they will be able to administer cannabis throughout their communities. So what I have to say here is there will be special provisions and special opportunities for the Rastafari community. However, there needs to be some structure in place to be able to guide that process to ensure that the cannabis being dispensed among the Rastafari population meets public health and safety standards and meets environmental stewardship practices, right? So it is important, and what we have seen is designating sacramental spaces based on particular events taking place, particular religious practices, and to ensure that the cannabis grown, it's in keeping with Rastafari core principles. So currently we are in the process of drafting the ITAL standard, which is a global Rastafari standard, which will be used to govern how, sacramental cannabis should be grown, how it should be cared for, how it should be treated in the wider public domain. So this is key based on we see various cultures, having kosher, halal products, and we see a very unique opportunity presented to the Rastafari community if they are enabled to actually encapsulate that and make good use of that opportunity. So, but what my research has shown is when we look at the jurisdictions who have legalized cannabis so far, and we look at the records based on how many the people who were criminalized and are the persons who actually get their records expunged, we see where Rastafari is still the minority in that perspective, and it is still the average local citizen who is the majority of the people who faced incarceration for like cannabis. So I believe if Rastafari has any particular privileges, why don't the indigenous people of Dominica, why like doesn't the average person also possess those same rights?
All right, let me ask it to this government representative here. Can you convince the public, the persons listening at this time, that they'll have a definite share in the piece of the pie? Because I'm getting there. I'm hearing from some callers that they're not convinced that this is about the public or the Dominicans. It's about a few people within government circles who would benefit. What assurance can you give them that they'll be part of this pricing?
Well, we within the government,
Right.
I'm representing the Ministry of Agriculture, and it's a ministry that's taking the lead role.
Really do.
And what we have designed is a program. In the last 3 months, the cabinet approved the program where we could engage stakeholders at all levels, at the ground level, civil society, cooperatives, the Rastafarian communities, the religious communities, the economics, and we getting feedback from each of these representatives.
Okay.
And then we're gonna bring all these proposals forward for government to consider all these things that we talk about. Now, with respect to the local person remaining within the industry, it's what we trying to craft or what we trying to develop is a system where the existing growers are the ones that are going to be producing the medicinal cannabis. So we're not trying to create or bring in any growers. We want to use existing growers, but we know there are challenges with that. So we're looking at a transitional period to get these illicit growers into a regulated market. So this is one way where the existing farmers, and so we definitely trying to cater for them to be part of the whole cultivation. And also we have the processing of cannabis into byproducts, and we're looking at empowering our local agro entrepreneurs into developing these products. So we within the ministry definitely trying to keep the locals and the small players as part of that industry.
Let me say something here, sir. There's history is a thing, yes? And if you look at all the reports, well, like a Transparency International, there's concern about corruption across every government within the region. Every government. That's what the history of politics has been within the Caribbean. They can't trust elected representative. That is the history. But
hold a thought there. Let me just read something associated with what you just said. But personally, I would like to invest as somebody from the overseas, the diaspora, as you call them, in the cannabis industry in Dominica, but not under this government. The track record for any kind of business has been poor. So you see the mistrust right there.
Yeah. Say, and that is across. And I'm from Jamaica. And my PhD was examining Jamaica's limited experience from 1960 to 2000. It's a very similar history across all Caribbean territories. The way we approach politics in the region has not worked because we embrace what is called a neoliberalist kind of mindset, where we still think that the engine of growth for our region's development lies in the hands of persons outside. It's like a kind of paradigm paralysis. However, as Caribbean people, I know that we always see this kind of silver lining in the dark cloud. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity given the amount of errors that have been made in other jurisdictions to do it right. And sometimes it takes not trust in government, trust in selves, because the government have a role to serve. But sometimes assume wrongfully that the government knows what to do as well. Nobody have a monopoly on knowledge. I am saying to you that I am sitting in a room now with the leading person in the region, and not only just in the region, but who was representing the top 20 most important persons in the ganja industry globally. Right beside me, to my left of me, who's a Dominican. We cover every area you can think about. There's also a next person who is Al, who is a science specialist. We have to think about the kind of competence. We don't need no foreign direct investment in money or brain, you know. I am saying Dominica are the brightest mind right now in the Caribbean in the entire cannabis industry. And he resides in the University of the West Indies, where it's building out what is being done at UA. He's building out what is being done in Jamaica and several other countries. And he have the chance to build it out for his own country. So we know the history of people. And you have other people supporting government and people who don't support government. But I'm saying to you, support your own self now. What it requires though, there are companies that are required. But like the move that it is anchored in the agriculture industry, which is what the area that Jamaica made. Because we are running down this money thing in Jamaica. We place the industry in the wrong area, which keeps out the people. The sector, the agriculture sector, is the sector that interfaces primarily with what we call grassroots people. A ganja farmer is first and foremost a farmer. But as a farmer, he is also a businessman. So I want to see now where the agriculture policy, and now speaking about agriculture as ganja is a part of agriculture, synchronizes with the entrepreneurship and micro, small, and medium enterprise policy. So the benefits that we are using to target MSME people, farmers and ganja farmers can also be seen as a part of that. And why is it so? Why is it important? Because note, when a foreign direct investor comes into any industry, ganja, banana, tourism, there's a significant amount of leakage. The only person money that stays in a country like Dominica are the persons in the MSME sector. So you need to ensure that when you build out the industry, the thing that the Virgin mentioned about the Rastafari Virgin, the thing that Michelle mentioned about non-Rastafari people who are ganja farmers, they become central to the model. But do we have that business model? So we can have a plan that we say for the ganja industry. And I said to you, okay, let me say the MSME policy and how it supports farmers across the entire entrepreneurship process. Let me see what you have in place to support businesses generally, because the ganja man is a businessman along the business life cycle. You know, let me see what the overarching local theory of change is, how we're going to use agriculture and ganja now to ensure that we manifest this climate resilience program for 2030, that we get 60% of the agriculture sector to be moving, that we get the 5% in terms of growth. How do we do these things? So people don't think it's just an idea of a really approach it like a big, serious business that is very diversified, because there's the traditional medicinal, and I use the word traditional now in the way they are talking about the ganja industry. They have that traditional approach that the Euro-Americans speak about, but there's also the approach that we have within the region. Importantly, where's our market? Because sometimes we like to think about creating this big export market to non-Caribbean people. And I say to people, you have 50 million Caribbean people, half in the Caribbean and half in the diaspora, which we cannot even feed a banana. We cannot even meet the demand to give them a banana. We cannot meet the demand to provide any good and service that the Caribbean people actually want. And you know what we spend our time trying to do? To create a product that is going to go into a farmer enslaver market. So people are going to ask you, that's when you ask a question about what seeds are going to use, what standards are going to use. We must set the standard above the world standard. That's what we do. As Caribbean people, we set higher standards in sports, in culture, in badness. Well, we can't do it in any other subject here. That's what we must choose to do. And I'm saying we have the brains to do it. We have the resources to do it. We have to seize the opportunity to do it, regardless of who is in government. And if a government have sense, they will know that Caribbean people don't support losers. We want somebody who's going to win. And we're ready of an industry that has won, despite all the work that has been done globally to fight it down. And it is still here. Why should we not do what we're supposed to do? You know, so the concerns that the population have tends to be real, because the historical experience of the Caribbean has been one of injustice and corruption. But it's still Caribbean people in the parliament, you know. I mean, I'm a Rastafari when I chant Bingi in my hard pan parliament. But I'm still saying to you, it's Caribbean people. And I know that if we decide as Caribbean people to make something work, it will work. And let me say this. If the government of any country decides to do something else, we as ganja farmers really do not need a government. If we need the government, the industry would not be here today. But I'm saying we have an opportunity to work together to get it right, man. And we can get it right.
All right.
Yes,
A
and
mouthful there.
Matt, just to come back to the question you asked with respect to how does the local man benefit as well. So what we saw in that there was a draft medicinal cannabis bill established in 2022 under the Impact Justice Project. And in reviewing the bills, we saw that there was certain shortcomings. For example, our traditional healers and herbalists, they were not included in that bill. So in revision of the bill, these are some of the considerations that we want to look at. And that's why we are conducting that kind of exercise. So when we pass legislation, all the I's are dotted and all our T's are crossed.
Let me ask a question before I move on there. Can you ask a government representative whether there is already or there already exists cannabis growers here involved in the industry, even outside of what the Ministry of Agriculture is embarking on, and under what special regime is this allowed to operate? Is there anything special going on there outside of what discussion?
No, as we know, there are a lot of talk that there are rumors that there are people that have been given license to cultivate cannabis in Dominica.
And that's not true.
That's absolutely false.
Okay.
There's not one license that has been issued in the past 10, 15, 20 years. Well, there have never been a license issued to cultivate cannabis in Dominica.
Yeah, and if I may just add to the discussion here, right? Dominica is uniquely poised to develop their local capacity and local infrastructure within building out a cannabis industry, right? If you look at what an industry is made of, right, it needs to have all the necessary ingredients, from the inputs to the technical competencies to the infrastructure and to the market in order for it to be successful. So let's just take a look at other substance abuse. Let's look at coffee. Let's look at sugar. Let's look at tobacco, and see the sort of revenue that is generated across the linkages from seed production to propagation to cultivation to post-harvest to distribution to transportation to processing, name it all. And the sort of income generation and wealth generation that could be created from that to assist with the GDP contribution is overwhelming. But here we have an opportunity where we already have an industry that is already existing. So now is, how do we encapsulate those competencies, that enthusiasm into an infrastructure which is going to, like, the issue a local ganja farmer has is the mindset, which we are here to change that mindset. The mindset is, I am the farmer, I am the seller, I am everything, right? In an industry, your competencies will now allow you to position yourself along the cannabis value chain, supply chain, to be able to earn an honest living where you would be able to bank your money without any issues or criminal procedures. So that opportunity based on providing your skill set where you have that passion, enthusiasm, and this is where I think Dominica government is going to take the lead, because in our proposal we are proposing certification and training in order for these participants to enable them within the industry participation.
All right, let's take a call there. A lot of people are trying to call. We don't have too much time. I can tell you that. Hello, yes. Very burning subject there. Good afternoon to you.
Yes. Am I on air?
You are live, sir.
I am live. Yes, I want to ask the government representative, first of all, is this symposium a public gathering? Can anybody come?
Is it a public gathering?
It's a public gathering by invitation.
By invitation.
So it's by invitation. It's not public. Okay. All right. Interesting. Because I think this is public and it should be. Secondly, can you tell the audience what is the legislation that is going to be discussed and that is being put forward for discussion?
Can you speak about the legislation that will be discussed? That's what the caller is asking.
We planning on looking at the draft medicinal cannabis bill that was done in 2022 under the Impact Justice Project, and also what we call a draft integrated cannabis act. It was developed in partnership with some of our partners, where because the draft medicinal bill more looking at the administration of medicinal cannabis, and it didn't really take into account the cultivation of the crop. So the Integrated Cannabis Act, this one is looking at the cultivation of the crop. So we planning on looking at these two pieces of legislation.
I suspect. Hold on. I suspect that there's a question, an underlying question there. Caller, you still there?
Yes, I'm still there.
Yes, sir. Can you continue? I suspect you want to say something and you don't want to say.
Yes, it was. Yes, those are lead-up questions. You're right. My question is, and I think everybody knows my voice. Does that I want to make it in a public sphere? Is that medicinal cannabis is a very limited scope on what the plant really is about. And that I will ask you, a regional guest, and especially Marshall, who has real experiences, is there any place where legalization of marijuana or cannabis has occurred being pushed by the Ministry of Agriculture?
Can you repeat that question? Do you understand the question?
I'll answer that. Has any legislation that has occurred in the Caribbean been pushed by the Ministry of Agriculture that you know?
Any legislation in the region that have been
pushed by the government?
Ministry of Agriculture.
Yes, right. So what we have seen is like we see where the only other Caribbean country where houses the Cannabis Authority within the Ministry of Agriculture is currently St. Vincent, right? We see where other jurisdictions have looked into the Ministry of Health, Foreign Investment, so on. But the fact that Dominica is also anchoring it within the agricultural sector really shows the ulterior motive based on the inclusivity and the long-term sustainability of the cultivation. Because when you look at any agricultural value chain, production is the mainstay. You have to produce raw material first and foremost, so it's rooted within the agricultural sector, and Dominica does have a cultural emblem in terms of cultivating cannabis, right? So the mistake which a lot of us make and we don't necessarily see is using the word medical cannabis and treating cannabis as a pharmaceutical. And we all know pharmaceuticals are produced from synthetic drugs. So now we have a plant where we are putting in the same category. It's going to be very difficult to have the same laws and principles guiding pharmacopoeia rather than understanding the nutraceutical aspect of administering cannabis.
Are you still here?
Yes. Well,
final question.
But Marshall is defending it. My basic point, and a point I'll be making tomorrow, it seems to be missed on all of these things, is that cannabis is a plant. And it's the only plant that's illegal under our act. The only other naturally occurring thing that's illegal is mushrooms, which are not a plant. They're considered bacteria. That's just my point. I would like that we're the nature island. Marshall knows how wonderful we are. I would just like, and I would like the government representation, especially with the crown that they're wearing, is to defend the idea that cannabis is a plant. It's an agricultural product. And as he well knows, and I hold, is that it should just be legalized. You can't tell me how much orange trees to plant. You can't tell me beds to make. It's an agricultural product that has never killed anybody, ever. And I would have just liked Dominica, given its nature island and the fact that it's being pushed by agriculture, to really make this point. And I want to make the point to the guest that's on this, the herbalist, and all of these things exactly about this foreign thing, about testing for inputs and all kind of bad growing methods, etc., for cannabis, but they don't do that for tomatoes or for lettuce. If we had an agricultural program that just dealt with that and treated cannabis as an agriculture, I don't need any license to grow orange. I don't need any license to grow cannabis as far as I'm concerned. So that's just the point I'm trying to make, and I would like the guest to somehow converse on that. This absolute lie of treating it as a drug, and again, Marshall saying they're trying to put it back into pharmacopoeia. That's what it was put with heroin and cocaine in the first place, and made it an underworld thing. So I just want to as you're discussing this very holy thing, and a holy I'm talking about as a plant. Orange trees are medicine too. We can have a medicinal orange legislation if we wanted. So that's the only point I wanted to make, because again, from these high Rastaman, I want them to remind that it is simply a plant that has been used for thousands and thousands of years. And all these technicalities and all of these rules that they're trying to create is another way of Babylon controlling what occurs naturally and trying to force unnaturality onto people.
All right, Doc. Of course, thank you. I recognize the voice. And you want to make a quick comment?
Sure.
That because we have to go.
Yeah. So, in terms of answering that, particular question, yes, cannabis is a plant, right? And I recently came from Thailand, right? And Thailand took a very unique approach into their legalization. So they legalized cannabis without regulations, but what they put in place is agency that will provide oversight for good agricultural and collection practices. And I can tell you, based on my research and my experience traveling the world and traveling the region in terms of cannabis, I have seen some very nasty and unethical habits being practiced in terms of cultivating cannabis that definitely is harmful to the environment, is harmful to the applicator, and it's also harmful to the actual consumer. So ensuring that public health and safety is at the paramount of administering cannabis publicly. Like, for example, cannabis is known to produce mold, fungal mycelium. Anybody who has any underlying respiratory illnesses and you administer them cannabis for any sort of therapeutic value, which is contaminated in that way, could have detrimental effects on the person's health, right? You mentioned tomato and cabbage. Right now, the United Nations in 2018 gave me funding to look at the level of highly hazardous pesticide residue that's entering the food chain. And it is extremely worrying because we did research 10 years apart, sampling food samples that goes to the market districts throughout Jamaica. And we have seen where the pesticide residue has tripled, right? And then when we look at the sort of government policies in place, we see more highly hazardous pesticides being brought into our country and more brand names. So the policy is supporting the wide use, and yet we only look at standardizing our crops for export and not for local consumption. A man could be walking in Roseau with contaminated lettuce, and someone will just buy that, right? So here we have the opportunity to correct these norms and educate our population into food safety and protocols which will bring about long-term sustainability in advancing agricultural production.
All right. I just want to tell you that the symposium, it sounds very interesting going forward. The symposium will be carried live. Those of you who want to participate, we want to say that too. I'm also hearing that there may be an investment dinner as part of that. And also you have to log in Thursday night, right? Log in on the OPM page, Ministry of Agriculture and Logistics. Everyone can fit in, but we understand everyone wants to get more information. So there's a dinner coming. You want to talk about that as well? Investment dinner?
The investment dinner is is with our partners, the
Our partners.
International Society of Cannabis.
Okay.
It's scheduled for the Thursday night at Happy Lot
in Trafalgar.
And that of course, like you said, this symposium will be carried on for the 2 days.
Yes, we plan to.
Because there are a lot of people who want to participate that can't. Without an invitation.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Matt, just on behalf of the local Rastafari community, this obviously need, in fact, I've said this on many programs. I know the time is limited, but I just want to quickly say this. For even our government to consider making our country an organic country.
Okay.
Because if your country is not organic, it means your country is inorganic. And what is inorganic is metallic. We cannot consume metals without side effects. Other than that, there need to be a conversation. We need to reason with the government face to face to let them know that all those people who've been destroyed emotionally and otherwise as a result of the use of cannabis, there ought to be some kind of consideration for reparations. There need to be some kind of consideration for the Rastafari community to get land to produce, because we are the ones who know how to produce cannabis. So as a result of that fact, we need to collaborate to ensure that the Rastafari community and the traditional growers, the indigenous people like the Kalinagos, the Rastas, we ought to come together to create a plan to ensure that we, the indigenous people, can produce the highest quality cannabis possible, because it's only if we have that kind of product that we can make money. But we also have to recognize, well, I understand the cannabis, the situation in terms of Sacramento will be favorable as far as we are concerned as Rasta people. But we want Rasta to be engaged sacramentally and also economically, and we have an opportunity to do this.
All right, we're going to come back, Dominica. All right, Dominica, we are here coming to the end of a very, very interesting, enlightening discussion. Are we going to go across the table? Let's talk to the government representative and then we'll go across and wrap it up for the afternoon. Marijuana Symposium, 2-day symposium taking place from tomorrow. To you, yes?
Yes. Once again, we want to thank Q95 for having us on, being able to disseminate the information out to the general public. In the next 2 days, we definitely be at the State House having the discussion on the cannabis industry. And moving forward, we will definitely be back to continue having those discussions. And
there are many more questions to ask. You're right. You can come back.
We will just say that every problem is actually an opportunity. Yes.
Yes.
Provide a good service, satisfy that need. Whether it's a social problem, economic problem, etc. And ganja provides that opportunity. Let us try to standardize first in terms of processes and practices, regularize, which is to try to organize the players, then we try to formalize. Yes? So do not try to force the formalization on a system. Understand the system, how it works, and make the system actually better. But importantly, in doing it, mainstream, what we call the most vulnerable groups, and whether it be the Rastafari who are suffered, but people who are in the rural areas, women in business and agriculture and ganja is important. Yes? And mainstream the imperatives of climate change. Make sure that we plant in according to good practices. And we should be good.
Rasta, let me have Bobby and then we'll have Dr. Emmanuel to wrap it up. Your final comment.
Just a pleasure to be here. Looking forward to present on Thursday morning, 9:30. So people can listen up on the radio. We have a lot of information to give. I myself, between now and then, I'm going to be speaking to a lot of Rastas to get to know what they want me to say on their behalf, and also to consider to ensure that there is fair trade when it comes to cannabis, and to also know that only we know what we want as Rasta relating to the cannabis situation. It can't be left out, and so we have to come to tell them how we want it to.
All right. The pattern words are
Yeah,
yours.
well,
I hope you come back. There are many more questions for you. Go ahead.
Well, they normally say a man is never honored in his own land, you know. So I want to give special thanks to the government of Dominica for placing confidence in me to be able to assist in terms of the developing and the enactment of a responsible cannabis industry for the Dominican people. And I will ensure that I will use my wealth of experience in contributing meaningfully and putting my best foot forward to ensure that the people of Dominica benefit first and foremost. Thank you very much.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Hope to see you around soon. All right, Rasta.
The truth will reveal things that are hidden. I said the things that them I keep down inside. Truth will reveal. The truth will reveal what's in their heart. What is in their heart. Oh yeah.
So tomorrow and Thursday, big symposium there on the cannabis industry.
I said the truth will reveal you. Like the truth them try to hide from long time gone. But one I know that looks at and say, here you stand. Still waters run deep. So what you thought you running deep? And one time my love will prove the story. And every eye will see. The truth will reveal. The truth will reveal. Things that are hidden. The things that them I keep down in Babylon. Truth will reveal. The truth will reveal. What's in their heart? What is in their heart? Oh. Said the truth will reveal. I know the truth will reveal you. Oh, expose them. Expose them. Truth will reveal. Let the truth be revealed, yeah. Truth will know where to hide. Truth will reveal. I said the truth will reveal, yeah. Truth will reveal where to hide.
Over $500,000 could be yours. Play Super 6 and win. Bigger jackpots, more chances to win.
All you, I just made goal winning Roseau again. Same place outside Flossie's. I tried to dock in, but you had time see me. Where? Story start again. Million, lot of my father we got son. Fella, I said the same thing you doing, shopping at Flossie's, and you don't have to tell me the same thing you tell me last time because I busy. It's to hear him way. You reckon? About my pocket the wire. I won't tell you that I save money in food and drinks when I buy quantity. I save more. Oh shucks, man. Well, when you're still telling me, I know already. To pack I spent him why? But it could him up here for Palais. I will tell all my friends from London, US and Dominica to come to Floss's. Right next to the Rosa Market. Open Sunday to Saturday. Floss's can't do it to you.
A fresh market. Where money don't come, and money don't touch you. A fresh market. We are open 7 days a week with the top of the line products. We're out of stock. supermarket and pharmacy, health and beauty care, fresh produce and meats prepared daily, hot and cold kitchen, ready to go meals, sandwiches, salads, and dessert at your fingertips. Easy access, located on the bayfront, environment friendly, and our staff are approachable and ready to assist. Have you figured out who we are? You got it. Fresh your one stop. Comes and your pocket does touch you. Fresh market, never disappointed. Fresh market.
All right, Dominique, it's already what? 2:18, and we just have a few minutes. We have an interesting stuff for the next 12 minutes. We're talking about Tipsy Palate Adult Fun-Filled Day coming up. If you're an adult and you want to participate, say, in a capture the flag obstacle course, three-legged race, egg on spoon. Remember those days? Those were the days. Egg on spoon, balloon toss, small goal football, beer chugging, bottoms up. I wonder what is that about? Bottoms up. Eating competition, five-fung burger and hot wings. You can also bring the kids along, huh? Let's have some fun there. Terms and conditions apply. Of course, there's team registration now open. I'm getting mighty close because the event is July 20th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Botanical Gardens. Adult Fun-Filled Day. So if you're part of a group and you want to register, feel free to register. 10 members the maximum, okay? I'll come see you. Maybe I may just come in and participate, huh? 3-man Peltier with 3-legged race. Who's going to come on with me? If you want to join me in that competition, yes. Let's go register. Let me take an option to, of course, the persons who are promoting this big event, Adult Fun-Filled Day, coming up on July 20th. Let's take an option to you folks. How you doing?
Good, Matt. How are you?
I'm here. So tell us about that big day. Your big smiles on your face. I hope it's a big day too. Tell us about the day. Come on.
Adult Fun-Filled Day focuses on the health and wellness of our older people. It also focuses on togetherness and bringing people back to the olden days. Because my mother used to tell me, like, when she was growing up, she saw so much fun, and I just did it on my phone. So I told her, well, let's do an event for the older people, you know? Okay.
So the elderly people should participate.
Of course.
Where did that idea come from? Did it come from your mother?
Yes, it did.
Because she told you that nobody's having fun every day?
She said we don't know how to have fun properly.
Okay, so you want to see her have fun?
Yeah.
So yes, I'm saying that if you want to participate, there's a big day to participate, and that's coming up on the July 20th?
Yes, the 20th of July.
Okay, let's speak about some of the games that you want people to participate in. Okay,
we invented Capture the Flag.
What's that game about? I never heard that one. Capture the Flag?
Yes.
Okay.
It's basically an obstacle course where we're going to have we're going to set tires, and we're going to do what do you call them? Jumping over the hoops.
Yes.
Then you're going to go in this sack, and then from the sack you jump to get the flag. You take it back to the other team member.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then whoever wins that
Which
they
team
get. Yeah, and we're doing each one by points because.
Well, you have to have doctors around, because these people, their bones are not there. Yeah, so you have to have some doctors around to take care of any emergencies.
We'll take care.
We older people can't jump like we used to.
That's true, but we get to show the younger folks what fun was really like.
Is there an age group though?
We start from 18.
18.
Yeah.
Okay.
18 go up.
Those were the days, huh? Those were the days. So, what other games you have?
I think the
Bottoms up is going to be very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me about that bottoms up?
Okay, for bottoms up, right? We have a top with soapy water on it in a correct state. And the shots at the end on the table. So you have to slide on the top to get the shot, drink it, and slide back.
Slide back?
Slide
Yeah.
back, yeah.
So whichever team completes that first,
Uh-huh.
they win. I think it's with 40 points.
That's it. I've never seen that game before. Again.
Different stuff.
All right. So what other games you have?
We have the burger eating competition, which
And
is
that might be
my
interesting.
personal favorite.
You're gonna be in that competition? You don't look like you
No,
eat too much.
I cannot. We actually we made a sample yesterday at home, and trust me, I cannot handle it. But I'm hoping that people out there
They're
will
big.
be able to handle
They're
it.
big eaters.
Well, they have to come hungry for that one, man, because it's huge. How long you have to do it? I think we're giving you about 6 minutes so that.
For what, a burger?
Yeah.
It's
mad. It's huge.
No, there are a lot of people. A huge burger like that,
Let me tell you, it's huge.
and you don't think anybody will be to eat that in
The
6
burger
minutes?
will be accompanied with fries. You have to eat everything, or a majority.
A whole burger in 6 minutes with fries?
Mm-hmm. It's a 12-inch burger, you know. It's not
it's a
small.
12-inch burger.
It's a 12-inch burger.
My God, how many would I have on the table? That 12-inch.
Well, we're hoping to get registration, so we know exactly, how much we have to get ready for people and stuff like that.
All right. So, if people are interested, what numbers should they call?
We have the number right here. It's 277-6049.
Repeat again.
277-6049.
277-6049. So, as I said, you can bring the kids along and make it a fun day for everybody.
Absolutely.
11 to
7
p.m. And it's at the Botanic Gardens?
Botanical Gardens, yes.
Okay, so there's also a beer juggling, beer chugging. What's that about?
It was brought about by popular demand. Somebody asked us to include alcohol.
Okay. I mean, it's adult, so you can include a little beer.
Exactly.
So you drink as much beers as possible?
No, I think we're going to put
There's a funnel with a hose.
And then
one
team member
has to pour the beer for the funnel and you have to chug it.
So it's who chugs the most. We're going to put maybe about 10 beers. They have to be able to stock it up.
I have seen folks juggle about 6 beers in a few minutes.
We might give them 10.
10.
Yeah.
To drink.
It's a competition. And if you have to, you can handle that, man. They can handle that.
All right.
We're strong drinkers.
So there's another one called hot wings. Eating hot wings. What's about?
When I plan on making my wings, I call it wings from hell. I want it to be extremely hot.
Wings from hell.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It's going to be really hot. What's the point on that one?
All right, so we're almost at the end of our conversation here, but I just want people to participate. And as I said, it's an adult fun-filled day taking place on July 20th from 11. That's a Sunday?
Yes, it's a Sunday.
Oh, so you can participate. Again, the number is 767, of course, the area code 277-6049 on WhatsApp. So call and register your team today. There are prizes to be won?
Yes, there are. And registration closes on the 18th.
On the 18th. That's 2 days away from the competition.
Right.
There is a $500 cash prize and a case of Kubuli for the winning team, and the other teams that participate will also be getting prizes.
All right, folks. So that's Ontario. It's going on. Take place on July 20th. You be there. Of course, call and register today and be part of this big adult fun-filled day coming up on Sunday, the 20th of July. So again, the numbers. Let's give the numbers before you go again.
1-767-277-6049. You can call straight or send a message on WhatsApp.
All right, and you'll be there to answer
Definitely.
All right, folks. Well, I guess we may talk before that again. Okay, let's hype it up a bit.
Sure,
okay?
Yeah.
Take care now. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye. Again, adult fun-filled day. Register today. All right, Dominica, I know what you're waiting for, right? Let's do this and come back and hear the big story as it relates to young man who got killed this morning from a stray bullet. Hear the full story from his mother, brave mom from the Kinfield area. It's really sad. Of course, his dad is my colleague and media friend for a number of years. We started together, almost together there in the late 80s, 90s, early 90s. Mr. Alex Bruno. I called him this morning and to share in his loss, the son of Alex Bruno and Mavo. So let's take a break and listen to the big interview, exclusive interview, only interview on the sad news that took place this morning. Coming back.
Over $500,000 could be yours. Play Super 6 and win. Bigger jackpot, more chances to win.
All you, I just made goal winning Roseau again. Same place outside Flossie's. I tried to dock in, but you had time see me. Where? Story start again. Million, lot of my power we got, huh? So, fella, I said the same thing you doing, shopping at Flossie's, and you don't have to tell me the same thing you tell me last time because I busy. It's to hear him way. You reckon? About my pocket, yeah. I won't tell you that I save money in food and drinks when I buy quantity. I save more. Oh, shucks, man. Well, when you're still telling me, I know already. To pack out expecting why? When I get him up here for Palais, I will tell all my friends from London, US and Dominica to come to Floss's, right next to the Rosa Market. Open Sunday to Saturday. Floss's can't do it to you.
Fresh market. When the money don't count and the pocket don't touch you. Fresh market. Fresh market. We are open 7 days a week with the top of the line products. We're all in stock. Supermarket and pharmacy, health and beauty care, fresh produce and meats prepared daily. Hot and cold kitchen, ready to go meals, sandwiches, salads, and desserts at your fingertips. Easy access, located on the bayfront, environment friendly, and our staff are approachable and ready to assist. Have you figured out who we are? You got it. Fresh market. Your one stop. Where money don't count and your pocket don't touch you. Fresh market, fresh market, somebody to find it. Fresh market.
By now, you must have heard the news of one young man dead and 2 others nursing gunshot wounds or gunshot injury in an early morning shooting that took place around the Alliance Francaise, close to the bridge there, going up to Bath Estate. July 8th, 2025. Police say the victims are Curtison Charles, a male adult of Silver Lake, Jaif Bruno, a 26-year-old male from Kinfield, a Maslet Dossely, a Haitian national, residing at Castle Comfort. As we told you this morning, these gentlemen were employed at the Castle, the cable car project in Loda, while Mr. Dorsel, a hotel employee in a hotel development in the same area. According to information, this A gray car drove by and opened fire in the direction of three men, and Mr. Bruno was struck multiple times on the left side of his chest, left thigh, and left arm, and was pronounced dead by a medical doctor at the Dominica China Friendship Hospital. The two other victims, Charles and Dorselli, sustained injuries. Charles was hit in the left calf, and Dorselli received a gunshot wound to his left elbow. Police are conducting investigations, and two men are currently in custody assisting them with their investigations. Now her mother and father are grieving for the son, Mr. Bruno, who was gunned down innocently while waiting on a ride to get to work at the cable car project. I went and I visited the family down in Caneville, and very fortunate of the grieving. Margot Graham, the mother, her only son, gave this exclusive interview. I know you're a mother, and I know how you feel about your children. And just imagine what she's going through at this time. Margot Graham, it was her only son. Mr. Alex Bruno, my colleague and friend, reached out to him this morning. He too was hit hard by the news. The shocking news this morning.
Innocently. Innocently be on his best for work.
At a drive-by shooting. Just tell me, when did you hear the incident?
I was home, right? And then she called me and tell me they have Jai phone at work. So he was involved in a shooting. So then I say like bike sign, he get caught up in a shooting crossfire. So I thought now. Then I spoke to somebody, tell me he got shot in his hand. I said okay. So then I run down to the hospital and I got information.
Found out.
Mommy gotta take it.
Your only son.
And this morning, right? This morning, I normally do like a dance. Things you know, I like to dance. And this morning, he did like a jig for me, and me and him, they're laughing so much. And he told me we have for his birthdays in September. Just now. He wants to make a weed bracelet. I tell him no problem. He come because I have gold there. When he come back, we'll go and watch the catalog and we'll see what, Stan will go and talk to Russell. And that was the last conversation he and I had with.
The last conversation
he and I had was he had to make a weed bracelet for his birthday. And he and I had to go to next month because he loses side of his earring. Right. We had to go and buy an earring next. We were going to go next month. We plan everything. And Matt, I don't know if I can't survive. I'm not survive that. No,
you can't survive your only son. Huh?
My only son. I can't survive.
Caught in a crossfire for what reason?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. Look me there.
I was just talking to her, Sandra. But she can't take it.
Mat, my one and only child, Mat, my one and only child. I can't survive without child. He's a 8 months old baby. He almost died at birth because he born at 8 months. He had to be in an incubator. He survived that because he's a preemie. And look at how he died. I can't take it. No, I can't take it. I cannot take it. I'm supposed to be burying my son. I'm not supposed to be burying my son. My son's supposed to be burying me, not me burying my son. Oh God, oh God. Again, my mother. I don't know. My mother can't take it. Mommy.
I saw him say
I don't know, mommy gonna take it. And the boy not involved in nothing. The boy just does it like innocently. That is what that's killing me. Not an accident I can survive. But shoot my child. I can't take it. I can't take it. I'm trying. Yeah. And this morning I wake up, I make Jai breakfast for him. Okay, Ariel Trump. I make his breakfast for him. He come, he help me. And I cacote for him this morning, right? I tell me up there, I make a cacote for him. I do little sausage, I was getting so much joy when I'm making things and when I cooking for it because I was enjoying my food. Yeah, it's so close. And like when I watch my friend walk, my voice.
Where did the movie take him?
They said by his heart. I just saw cotton cloth in my heart. They make it on the bed.
One more time now. Survive. Under control.
Not to tell the truth, I don't know I can survive, right? I really don't know. I really don't know I can handle it. Chai and I was very, very close. And there was this like a preemie. He survived incubator, survived everything, and then somebody just taking my child like innocently like that. The boy on his way to work. All the same people they only want to be shooting.
All right, Dominica, that was the interview. I'll play it again for those of you who may have missed it with Margot. Margot Graham of Caneville just spoke to the dad. He said he cannot gather the strength to speak about it at this time, and I'm sure we'll talk to Mr. Alex Bruno sometime, but he too is grieving. It's 2:40 in the afternoon, Dominica. When will this stop? When will this stop? I'm also being told by sources that this is maybe related to another incident in the Silver Lake area sometime earlier this year. It doesn't stop, Dominic. It doesn't stop. On behalf of the Q family, I want to extend our deepest sympathies, especially to Margot Graham and the family there in Caneville. Now I have some persons, of course, crying on the telephone. Shedding a tear, and we can well understand if you're a mother, you'd understand if it's your only child. I thought she gathered some strength this morning to do that interview. Just maybe a few hours later, at the house the family member there in Caneville. To the family and friends, Franklin Moses, I know how you feel, huh?
Yeah,
That's a tough one.
Yeah, because he was my neighbor when I lived in Canefield. He was my neighbor. I lived in Lucia Blair's house in Canefield. So I had Claudine Roberts on one side, and so I know Alex, and I know her. I know her mom, her dad, her sisters, and everybody. So I know the little boy, and she is correct. Yeah, he's a preemie. Yeah, so I know all that. And when you told me, I know Alex's son died. Where me and Alex were us in the media.
Yes.
We go way back from media days, football days, sporting days, Calibishi, my extended family from Calibishi also. And I didn't know it was him, and it's hard to you that's investment. You invested in your child, in your offspring. He wasn't in a party, he wasn't in a jam, he wasn't in a CEO.
He was standing.
You know what I mean? And hear what she said?
I said he was just standing.
Yeah, what she said he's supposed to be bearing her, not her bearing him. It's like a paradox. You burying your child when your child's supposed to be burying you. For what? Mistaken identity. A mistake.
Really sad. Let's go to the telephone at this time, yes? Good afternoon to you. Yes? Hello? Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Wrong number.
All right, sorry. At this time, you don't know what to say to the family. I went and I visited her with her mom, her sisters. Everybody was crying. Shocking news. The boy left for work and gone down.
In the midst of all these storms, give your people the strength that's needed to make it on this Christian pathway. We need you, Lord, like never before.
All of you shedding a tear this time. I'll feel your pain.
One more the hands of time keep turning. There's a new day that's dawning. Yes, my heart is sad, for I am nearing home. Here in the midst of tribulation, yes, my soul seek your direction. Give me strength, dear Lord, to face another day. When the days are dreary, when cold and weary, Lord, give me strength like in grace. When I'm torn and tempted to withdraw, it's not my will.
If you want to call and give support, feel free to do so. We have a few more minutes to go. commence the interview, I'm going to give you the pleasure to listen. Very tearful.
They are so heavy and even faint. I often carry, even though your word that has belong on me. But in these weak and people.
Hello. Good afternoon to you. Yes. Hello. Yes.
Silma.
Hi, Silma. How are you?
I'm there. Matt is so heartbreaking and sad. Matt, that's my first call to my mother and her father, her brothers, children, something there. And Matt is so heartbreaking to know that it's my own flesh and brother. I don't even know. That is why I tried to ask you this afternoon because his name hit me, but I didn't understand. But I just asking him to hold strong. You know, being strong is hard. She has one child just like me, and Matt, I can tell you, I don't know what would happen. You know, if I have to lose Amelia, Matt, that way. You know, not like, you know, she's sick and something like that. Matt just has got to give her strength. As she said, he should be burying her, not she burying him. Matt, I know it had not really just hold strong and ask God to give you strength. We will. It's a hard time for the family.
Very hard. Hello, talk to me. Thank you. Thank you for sharing it, of course, and giving your sympathies. Are you there, caller?
Matt, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon to Dominica. Matt, I sympathize with the family. I don't know them, Matt. But I have children, Matt. Sorry for somebody who have one. And to lose that one child, Matt, that's really, I feel happy, Matt. But I don't know if they have caught the person. Have they caught the person, Matt?
I think there are two people in for questioning, but I'm not sure if these are the, yes.
But Matt, let me just tell the family to be strong. Matt, I wonder how the people who go around smuggling guns into the country at this time, you know, how they feel when you put guns in the wrong hand in the hands of idiots, Matt. The people with license that go around buying fire bullets for them, Matt. How these people feel at this time when you have to see innocent people dying. But I cannot know who innocent and who not innocent. But I mean, when you have to see young people just losing their lives, and we have people going around facilitating those criminals, Matt, it's a hard situation to deal with. And I really feel left out to tell them be strong. The world has not ended. I mean, what? I mean, who am I to say? Because it's the one's only child. Everybody's child is the apple of the eye.
Mm-hmm.
Is it worth living for her? That's how she may be feeling. I mean, Matt, so much we wait on it in our garden, in our yard, in our backyard, to speak. But if every Dominican would speak out against it and speak out, and when you see something, you say something, Matt. We know sometimes we cannot trust certain police officers, but there are some you'll be able to trust, Matt. I really feel it, but I want to tell the lady, based on what I've seen on the street with the police officers lately, there can be those little crooks that may sell it out. But what I've seen on the road lately, I believe the Dominica police, they make up their mind to fight against some of those guns on the street. Although, as people always say, they know we have to go for it and they're not going there. But I want to tell you, when I've seen them on the road, they come out in full force fighting. And not even if it cannot bring back the person's child, but it will give her hope as a mother that another person won't be going through what she's going through. You know, maybe for now she cannot see it, but later she'll tell you that she don't want anybody to go through what she's going through. Matt, I pray that God will give her strength, and I ask all the people who know her in that area to stand by that woman. I don't know who the person is, Matt. But every time I hear another senseless killing with an unlicensed gun, I mean, all VNX have license now, you know, Matt. All rebels have license now. All criminals have license. But I'm saying, those that do not have license, you can't keep track of those firearms. And it keep coming. Whether it's through the customs, whether it's through the police, whether through whoever facilitating them, Matt. They must have a conscience. And one day they will speak out and ask the people, bring back the gun or tell the police where it is. Or try to stop it from coming into this country, Matt. Too many guns in a small population. And those who facilitating it whether those who in power, those who in authority, whether if the criminals on the other side, Matt, they will come. It is too much, man. There's a time when you know you feel like the system's against you and everybody feel they have to protect themselves. There are times you see when you call police and they're not coming. People can't have that kind of feeling. But when you have the wrong set of criminals have gone in their hand, or they want a little scooter, give them $2,000-$3,000, a life. That is the value of a life in Dominica. But it is sad. And I feel their pain. And we need to start speaking out when we see things. That's my contribution, man.
When it's wrong, say it's wrong. Let's listen to a number of persons missed the interview. Let's listen to this interview there with Margot at this time. Stick around.
Innocently be honest,
At a drive-by shooting. Just tell me, when did you hear about the incident?
I was home, right? And then she called me and tell me they have Jai phone at work. So he was involved in a shooting. So then I say like bike he get caught up in a shooting crossfire. So I thought now. Then I spoke to somebody tell me he got shot in his hand. I said okay. So then I run down to the hospital and I got information.
Found out.
Mommy gotta take it.
Your only son.
And this morning, right? This morning, I normally do like a dance. Things you like to dance. And this morning, he did like a jig for me, and me and him, they laughing so much. And he told me we have for his birthdays in September. Just me. He wants to make a weed bracelet. I tell him no problem. I come because I have gold there. When he come back, we'll go and watch the catalog and we'll see what stand. We'll go and talk to Russell. And that was the last conversation he and I had with.
The last conversation
he and I had was he had to make a weed bracelet for his birthday. And he and I had to go to next month because he loses side of his earring. Right. So we had to go and buy an earring next. So we're going to go next month. We plan everything. And Matt, I don't know if I can't survive. I'm not survive that. No, Matt.
You can't survive your only son.
My only son. I can't survive.
Caught in a crossfire for what reason?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. Look me there.
I'm just talking to her, Sandra. But she can't take it.
Matt, my one and only child. Matt, my one and only child. I can't survive without child. He's an 8 months old baby. He almost died at birth because he born at 8 months. He had to be in an incubator. He survived that because he's a preemie. And look at how he died. I can't take it. No, I can't take it. I can't take it. I'm supposed to be burying my son. I'm not supposed to be burying my son. My son's supposed to be burying me, not me burying my son. Oh my God. Again, my mother. I don't know. My mother can't take it. Mommy.
I saw him say
I don't know, mommy gonna take it. And the boy not involved in nothing. The boy just loses like innocently. That is what that's killing me. Not an accident I can survive. I can't take it. I can't take it. Keep up. I'm trying. I know you. Keep up. And this morning I wake up, I make Jai breakfast for him. Okay, Ariel Trump. I make his breakfast for him. He come and help me. And I kakoti I make for him this morning, right? Can tell me up there cool I make a kakoti for him. I do little sausage, Keep up. I was getting so much joy when I'm making things for him and I cooking for him because I was enjoying my food. Yeah, it's so close. And I go and watch my friend walk. I'm a fool.
Where did the movie take him?
They said by his heart. I just saw cotton cloth in my heart. And I make it on the bed.
One more time now.
Mm-hmm.
Survive. Under control.
Man, to tell the truth, I don't know I can survive, right? Yeah, I really don't know. I really don't know I can handle it. Try when I was very, very close. And there was this little preemie way. He survived incubator, survived everything, and then somebody just taking my child like innocently like that. The boy on his way to work. All the same people they only want to be shooting.
Somebody saying, "Ma'am, I'm at work and I just broke down."
On behalf of my family and myself and Latin people, I would like to send condolences to the family of the Graham, Magdalene, tell her to hold strong. I know her very well. They are my people, you know what I'm saying? I feel so sorry to hear that. So I just send condolences to all of them and tell them hold strong, man. Thank you, my brother. Sandra, you guys hold strong, man. I know you guys love all the family, all down, so I know I feel the pain in the whole family, you know what I'm saying? So all the best to you, my brother.
Hello, yes.
My beloved brother, thanks for the information. I noticed you left prematurely to go and find out what was happening.
I had to, yes.
Thanks to you. And Franklin was there with you.
No, Franklin was not, but he understood the situation. I had to run, yes.
Okay. Matt, it is sad. It is very, very sad. I want to extend my condolences to the family and ask the lady, because Matt is saying something, she don't know if she can survive losing her only child. Or only son or only child, Matt?
Our only child, our only child.
My God, Matt, I know it is rough. But darling, trust me, if you are listening, if not, I pray that somebody can convey that message to you. Just be strong. Claim him. Ask him to accompany you for your strength and accompany him as well in his loneliness, in his isolated state within the spiritual realm, if you can understand anything of what I'm saying. But Matt, I will not, that is not the time for me to go casting any aspersions. But Matt, life have a way of throwing certain things at us when we are not responsible for what other people do. We are suffering the consequences. Matt, you see, most of the time you say, oh, it's not my business. Little do you know, the seeds I sow, the branches of the tree can overlap and messing up your yard, messing up even the roots, Matt, can split your concrete. Based on the proximity of the tree and the distance the roots can travel. So most of the times, Matt, I feel a little pain, I end a little crying there, and it hurts. And I can understand her loss, but I can just ask her, please, to be strong. Be very, very, very strong. He has not gone too far from you. Claim that. Matt, thanks again for the work.
Thank you, blessings. Thank you very much. Yes.
Matt, I'm in tears. By myself. I'll put them to sleep, Your vacation. I go in somewhere and I put them to sleep. Oh, yes, they will never get it up again.
Hello, talk to me, yes. The emotional pain.
Matt,
We all feel it.
Matt,
Yes, good afternoon.
Matt, good afternoon. Thank you for your work, Matt. Matt, it's hard. It's hard. Matt, it's not me. And the way I feel, the way I take it, hearing the lady have one child, not in no trouble, not in nothing, going to make a daily bread. Oh my God. Matt, I can't even finish. I can't even finish say what I'm supposed to say. I'm just sympathize with her. I hope one day I meet her to talk to. Thank you, man.
I'm sure you will. As a matter of fact, I spoke to his boss this morning. He said that the young man was so resourceful and so skillful. You know, he was very sad that this incident took place there. And again, I'm also being told that he was asking all the time for the police to get involved because there was one employer that the people were always threatening her. So that did not stop. That did not start yesterday. I suspect they may have expected that, but did the police get involved too late? That's a different question. We'll have to find a little more. Okay, thank you. On the telephone, yes.
Yes, Matt, good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Matt, it's so sad when I hear breaking news this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, I doesn't know the mother, but I know the father because the father, I let you know, I know him. I let you know my nieces and nephews' uncle, Matt.
Okay.
So my nieces and nephews are related to the fella that
The
died.
child, yes, okay.
Yeah, to the boy that died. And I,
Life is all we can say at this time. Good afternoon to you, man. I'm so sad when a mother lost a child. She will be okay with his love, she says. 449-3095. 96 strength is all she needs at this point. She and her family. Her mother's also taking it very, very, very hard as well. Hello, yes?
Matt, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon. Matt, I'm listening to the program and I just want to make a plea to all mothers and fathers because, Matt, I got 2 sons and 1 daughter. When I hear the lady, she's crying about we have only 1 son, Matt. It's a very hard thing. And I just want to make a plea to all mothers and fathers to encourage this lady, support her, not only for today, support her until she gets through. And I want to encourage her by telling her, she says she will not survive, but I want her to know this too will pass. But Matt, I want to ask you a question in conclusion. When things like this happen, does our Prime Minister come up publicly to condemn this act?
Well, my information suggests the Prime Minister is out of state.
But I'm talking about this even before. Even I want to know to say something because Matt, there's a certain country where when things like this happen, the leader will not say anything. But what we are hearing now, it's not good. So I want to know when things like this happen, not only today, just before, months before, years before, whether he is coming out to say he condemned that. So check for me, please.
I'll find out. I'll try to reach out to the Minister of Security maybe tomorrow. And I know he's a close family friend and, of that family. And I'm sure he was a former PAL rep and a very strong supporter of that family. So I'm sure that he'll make some statement. I figure he'll make some statement in that regard. I'm a mother of the only boy child. I feel for Mago. I don't know her personally, but I know that what sudden death does to someone. Unfortunately, she'll never be the same. But her sisters are and will, of course, help us through this storm. All right, Dominica, we're going to be wrapping it up in a second. I'm sure we'll have that discussion.
And I had a tree.
Life is so unfair, somebody says. My deepest condolences to his family, especially his mom and father, and the entire family by extension. Life is so unpredictable. Life is so unfair.
But Jesus, like there were only crimes of sad. But the though my ship is a battered, the
Just a quick announcement. A crew member of the Lagos now anchored there outside the port. One member left her phone on one of the public buses. The bus color was dark green. Should the phone be found, please take it to the ship, or Pastor Rodney, you can take it to me as well, huh? Again, crew member of the Logos doctor outside the Rosicrucian Bear lost the phone on one of the public buses. The bus color was dark green. If the phone is found, please take it to the ship. Thank you. Thank you for your cooperation.
When I prove his love to me.
What a tragic way to lost a life, huh?
Though I say they are torn and John face agency, but the anchor in spite of the storms.
Yeah, man, I am so sorry to hear this. This is just so sad. And yeah, it will stop. When it's going to stop is when we start making some examples of some of the people in them that committed these crimes. We need to make examples of these people. All right, we need to really make some examples so this nonsense will stop in Dominica. Dominica is not supposed to be like that. Huh? Dominica is supposed to be. Yo, I grew up in Dominica and it was just so peaceful. We live it. This is just sad. This is really sad.
Of the storms. Now
We're gonna be wrapping it up in a minute there. Hello, talk to me, yes?
My brother, what's up, my brother?
All right.
Well, my brother, is a thing that's going on. I keep talking to you about that kind of thing. That thing that happening is real. You understand what I mean? And to all gangsters and superstars, you know that man have a foot train and shit in. Let's be clear. If all of us ever be clear, our parents don't have to fear. You understand? And those parents know that harboring whatever we doing, that they must stop it too and let us know that we're going wrong. Because I tell you straight out here, there's a lot more to come because I've been in the game a long time and I know about the streets. Before, we would have a fight and they'd come and warn our mother. But now they want to beat our mother. And when she little boy tell you going and shoot you, you take it as a joke. You understand? And now the same mother in itself telling you, when they do you, do them back. So now look at how it's going to happen. To all the lying mothers, the runaway fathers, what we have to do, when our children, which is your children, take whatever from whatever and they say to pay back $10,000, just give the $10,000 because you're making $40,000. Very easy. That is what is causing the destruction.
All right, caller, thank you.
in my head.
Hey, Matt. Oh, my goodness me. Matt, from the time this morning I was just leaving to go out, and Daddy told me that they just shoot some people in Buffet State going to Lula.
And Daddy tell me, Matt just leave and go and say he may be going to investigate. I tell Matt and I tell Daddy, once Matt Peltier leave the radio station and go, that person have to be very close to him. Either that person from La Puette. Matt Norwin is my little cousin. Magdalene, Janet, Frances, Mandy, all of them are my cousins. Magdalene father Sono was my mother's cousin. 2 brother children. Matt, it hurts. Matt, it hurts. I met Zai when I came home for the carnival. He came up by my son and I had a talk with that. You know, Matt, right now, the whole family there is in tears. My father is in tears. My older daughter Geraldine is in tears because all of them grew up together around the same age group which I have. But I never thought and I never see it coming right in front of the step. And sometimes we only learn and understand what is really going on when it hit right at our door. But my prayers and my heart goes out to my family in Kenfield, in Roche. Matt, it hurts that boy and my son Jennison is very, very close. And I cannot even get that boy because I don't even know if he get the news because he working. Matt, it hurts. It hurts, Matt, it hurts.
I know your pain. I know your pain.
Cousin of mine from Miami called me asking me, Geno, but who is Zai Bruno? Not Magdalene, so like that. Yes, but he alone is Zai. He know I'm no other Zai Bruno. Alex Bruno is his dad. She tell me, Geno, the boy, they shoot the boy. I tell her, oh, shoot the boy. She tell me, I tell her, but daddy just tell me that before I leave. Matt, I just had to pack my Jeep, Matt, and the phone just cut off. Matt, I was so in shock. I didn't even know how to keep on driving. I just had to swing the transport on the side and just sit down in the transport, lost with tears in my eyes running down my face. Matt, it is not an easy road. And I don't know what our country coming to with all that shooting. Not every time somebody get in accident, everybody, a young man gets shot. Not my heart is ready to jump out of my body. I have a son down there. But it's not easy. It is not easy, Matt. It is hard.
I miss Jennifer Guy, now living in Boston, originally from the Canfield area. Good morning to you, Red Man. A very tearful program, you don't understand. And for the final time this afternoon, we're going to play that interview before we wrap it up here on the Q95 and the Talk on the Block. Final time.
Innocently. Innocently be on his best for work.
At a drive-by shooting. Just tell me, when did you hear about the incident?
I was home, right? And then she called me and tell me they have Jai phone at work. So he was involved in a shooting. So then I say, like, Weinstein, yeah, he get caught up in a shooting, crossfire. So I thought now. Then I spoke some with him. He got shot in his hand. I said, well, okay. So then I run down to the hospital and I go and meet
You found out.
Mommy gotta take it.
Your only son.
Take my money. And this morning, right? This morning, I normally do like a dance. Things you know, I like to dance. And this morning, he did like a jig for me, and me and him, they laughing so much. And he tell me we have for his birthdays in September. Just know. Tell me I'm to make a weed bracelet. I tell him no problem. He come because I have gold there. When he come back, we'll go and watch the catalog and we'll see what, Stan will go and talk to Russell. And that was the last conversation he and I had with.
The last conversation.
He and I had, he had to make a weed bracelet for his birthday. And he and I had to go to Guadeloupe next week, next month, because he loses side of his earring. Right. So we had to go and buy an earring next. We're going to go next month. We plan everything. And Matt, I don't know if I can't survive. I'm not survive that. No, man.
You can't survive your only son.
My only son. I can't survive.
Caught in a crossfire for what reason?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. Look me there.
I was just talking to her, Sandra. But she can't take it.
Matt, my one and only child. Matt, my one and only child. I can't survive without child. He's an 8 months old baby. He almost died at birth because he born at 8 months. He had to be in an incubator. He survived that because he's a preemie. And look at how he died. I can't take it. No, I can't take it. I can't take it. I'm supposed to be burying my son. I'm not supposed to be burying my son. My son's supposed to be burying me, not me burying my son. Oh my God. Again, my mother. I don't know. My mother can't take it. Mommy.
I saw him say
I don't know, mommy gonna take it. And the boy not involved in nothing. The boy just loses like innocently. That is what that's killing me. Not an accident I can survive. I can't take it. I can't take it. No. I'm trying. And this morning I wake up and make Jai breakfast for him. Okay, Ariel Trump. I make his breakfast for him. He come and help me. And I kakoti I make for him this morning, right? I tell me up there cool I make a kakoti for him. I do little sausage, I was getting so much joy when I'm making things and when I'm cooking for it because I always enjoy making food. Yeah, it's so close. And I go and watch my friend walk.
Where did you take him this?
They said by his hat. I just saw cotton cloth in my hat. Make it on the bed.
One more time now. Survive. Under control.
Not to tell the truth, I don't know I can survive, right? I really don't know. I really don't know I can handle it. China and I was very, very close. And there was this like a preemie. He survived incubator, survived everything, and then somebody just taking my child like innocently like that. The boy on his way to work. All the same people they only want to be shooting.
Don't give up. Just find out this door.
All right, Dominic, this is how we wrap it up here. Very sad afternoon.
You've been in the store, and it seems like forever.
I'll see you again tomorrow morning.
That's so confused.
I'm sure this is not going to go away very easy, huh?
So low,
The Graham family in Caneville, Margo, hold tight. And to the father, Mr. Alex Bruno, in Florida, Miami. All strong, brother.
Just hold on to Jesus and ride out your storm. Still with your you may feel it, but you're not alone. But your morning is coming. Lord of mercy, just hold on to Jesus and ride out your storm. Remember, it's from me. He said I never forsake you. Though the waters of trouble, that do you know? Don't give out the battle, for your answer is coming. Just hold on to Jesus and just ride out your storm. Ride out your storm. God is still with you. You may feel it, but you're not alone. Your morning is coming. Lord of mercy, just hold on to Jesus and ride out your storm. Ride out your storm. God is still with you. You may feel it, but you're not alone. But your morning is coming. Lord of mercy, just hold on to Jesus and ride out your storm. When you have trouble, don't cry. Oh no, no. Just remember that God is standing by. Oh Lord, yeah. When you have heartaches, don't cry. Oh no, oh no. Just remember that God is standing by. Sometime when you're burning down, just remember God is standing by. Change it all, so there's no need to cry. Oh, God is standing by. Take it on, don't you worry. worry and don't cry. No, no. When you have trouble, don't cry. Oh no, oh no. Just remember that God is standing by. When you come running home, just remember God is standing by. Take it off slow. Don't need to cry. Wait. God is standing by. Take it off slow. Don't you worry and don't cry. Oh no, yeah. Forget about your troubles. Forget about your pain. Yeah. Put your trust in the Father. Yeah. Oh God. God is the dream. So there's no need, nothing to cry, nothing to cry. Oh, God, please get me by. So please and don't cry. Lord Almighty, to separate me from God. Love my Jesus, nothing will be able to turn me away from you. I love you, Father. Anyhow, the afflictions of the righteous, the hearts of men getting more and more vicious. Brutality is under increase. Tell me, when the love of God sees no how separate me from God. Love my Jesus, nothing will be able to turn me away from you. I love you, Father.